Good evening, everybody. I believe we are live. It's great to have you all here. So, good evening, Olena. Good evening, VG. Good evening, Manji. Good evening, Vibes. Good evening, Valentine. Well, we're going to continue with this article we were doing about food the other day. Good evening, SH. Thank you. Nice to have you. And good evening, Left Right. Yay! All knuckled up. I love it. Good evening, Rehab. And good evening, Renyard. And Roland and Manisco and Count. Wow, what a lot of people all of a sudden. That's really good. That's a really good feeling. Good evening, Yelts. Okay, and I mean good evening as well. Okay, so we're going to, as I said, we're going to continue with this one. Ciudadano, great to have you from Puerto Rico. And, okay, so here we've got the article, the last thing we did last time. And they were talking about coffee, yeah, and it used to be a ritual in Ethiopia, but then they took it back to Europe and served it in coffee houses. So let me put the first one up. Wow, wonderful to have you all here. At least I'm not late tonight. Yeah, makes a change. And let's see. Well, this is going to come through any second now. Okay, good evening, Vladimir. Great to have you. And Navanitha. Good evening. So I'm going to just call you Navan. And Chida and Baram as well. Good evening, Chida. So, after the Dutch fastened, clinched, insured, secured, guarded seedlings, coffee cultivation quickly expanded worldwide and became a popular everyday drink. Good evening, Vitali. It's wonderful to have you all here. So, let's see. After the Dutch fastened, clinched, insured, secured, guarded seedlings. Good evening, Sachin. So, I'm wondering, what does this word clinched mean, to clinch? So, well, we need to find the right one. So, Vitali's fast out of the blocks. And good evening, Kutch, and good evening, Sham. Okay, so left or right's going for secured, and so is Vibes. SH is going for clinched. And Vladimir goes for secured, Manji goes for secured, and Olena goes for secured. And Renyard as well. What's this verb, to clinch? So, Amin goes for fastened, Amin goes for secure, Manisco goes for fastened, Count goes for secure. So in a minute we're going to get a definition of this clinched. And good evening, Nora, great to have you. Okay, so we've had quite a few votes for this already, that's quite good. Good evening, Martin, great to have you. So, good evening, Kutch. To clinch, to win. Okay, clinch a deal, says Amin, yes. Vuslat, secured, good evening, Vuslat. Fasten your seatbelt, so fasten doesn't fit, it doesn't do it, exactly. Roland goes for secure as well. To clinch a deal, I offered him another 5% discount and it clinched the deal. A clinch, to hold on to someone tightly. So Ramesh is going for secured as well. And good evening, Maria, secured as well. They clinched the trophy. Yes, to clinch is to do the final thing to guarantee that something will work. Yeah, the goal clinched the match, but so to clinch a deal, yeah, to do something that makes it certain. Good evening, Slow Sunset, great to have you. Okay, so as you all guessed, secured. Okay, we used to secure meaning to get a supply of, to get a good supply of something. Fasten, as in fasten your seatbelts, no. but fast, to make fast, to make solid. To clinch, no. A done deal is clinched. Grab on a deal. I like that, Maria. Huh. A seedling is a little plant. Yeah, a seedling is a plant after it's just grown. It's a baby plant. Good evening, Rehab. Yeah. Seeds in the ground, the seed germinates, the head comes out, and it starts to grow, and that's a seedling. It's just a baby plant. Yeah? This ing at the end, or ling at the end, is a diminutive. Yeah? So, a seedling. Normally, in spring, I germinate some seeds, and then I grow the seedlings in my greenhouse, and then I plant them out. That's the idea. Good evening, Paul. Okay, so a seedling, a small plant. And yes, to secure something, to secure a supply, to make a safe supply, get a safe supply of. Good evening, Massimo. Great to have you. So today, chocolate and coffee are once again at risk of becoming expensive and unreachable, impervious, inaccessible, out of touch, beyond range. Okay, so, good evening, Lasky. Great to have you. Good timing today. So, inaccessible for Vitali, for SH, unreachable for Valentine, inaccessible for Gabriel. Oksana goes for inaccessible. No, a sapling is a small tree. A sapling is bigger. A sapling's a tree that's maybe a metre high or 2 metres high. First, it's a seedling. A sapling is like a teenage tree. Count goes for beyond range. To grab a deal. Clinch a deal. Olena goes for inaccessible, so does Nora and Louise. Procure. Yes, you could definitely use procure, Diego. Thank you, Theodano. So rehab goes for inaccessible, so does Leferite. Good evening, Shakib. Manisco goes for beyond range. Renyard for inaccessible. Manji for beyond range. Or inaccessible. Amin for inaccessible. Maria for inaccessible. Vladimir. Ramesh is wondering about impervious. Paul goes for inaccessible. Lasky says beyond range. Saplings, young trees, absolutely. Good evening, Abira, great to have you. Vuslak goes for inaccessible. It's no problem, VG, it's good to have you. Abira says inaccessible. Impervious means to describe a person who is not influenced by outward dangers. Yeah, something that's impervious, you can't get through it. So this surface is impervious to water. The water can't get through it, so impervious. Roland goes for beyond range. The goalkeeper was impervious. Okay, yes, he was impervious to the insults being shouted at him. Okay, so if you're impervious, nothing gets through, yeah? Not affected by something. That's a good definition, Roland. So flower goes for unreachable. Is that unreachable? Yes, that's what he said. Okay, so beyond range. Beyond the range of our pockets. Beyond the range that we can afford. So no. Out of touch. If somebody's out of touch, they don't live in the real world. They need to get their feet back on the ground. A road might be impervious to dry. No, the surface of a road is impervious to water because they put tar or tar macadam on it, or tarmac as it's called. So, yeah. And Maria goes for impermeable. Okay, this is interesting. So, impervious, impermeable, yes. If you're impervious, you don't, nothing reaches you, nothing gets through. Okay, so now we're down to inaccessible and unreachable. It's like imperturbable if you're talking about a person. That's a good one, Vladimir. Okay, I personally think both unreachable and inaccessible work, but I think unreachable is probably the better word. Unreachable. Unreachable, beyond the range of our pockets, beyond the range that we can afford. Impervious, impermeable. They're the same shakab. So, good evening, Julia. Okay. Impervious. Is for a person, they're immutable. Impenetrable. I like that, Paul. That's a good one. Tarquin McAdam. Very good indeed. No, I believe it was Robert McAdam left or right. Something I learnt at school. So, you can't... No, it means it can't touch you. Impenetrable. I like that, impenetrable as well. Good evening, Think Bass. So, unreachable's the right answer. Inaccessible is also possible, but normally something that's inaccessible is in a place where you can't get to it. So, yeah, this place is in the middle of a forest and inaccessible by car. A good politician should be impermeable. Impervious is someone who has a thick skin. I like that, thick skin. That's a good one as well. Okay, so we're going to have another one now. Yeah. Chocolate and coffee could both become deficient, bare, meagre, shortage, scarce, luxury foods again because of climate change, says Monika Zurek, a senior researcher at the Environmental Change Institute at the University of Oxford. So, we're getting some answers now. And Vitali and Oksana go for scare, count for deficient, scarce for Vitali and Oksana, scarce for vibes, Gabriel, counts changed his mind to scarce, Olena for scarce. Okay, dearth foods for Roland. There could be a dearth of these foods, you would say, Roland. Ballantine for scarce, Maria Mikanen for scarce, SH for scarce, Vladimir Manji. Good evening, Storksy. Great to have you with us, Aurelio. It's lovely to see you here. Scarce for Leferite, Roland. Renyard says deficient. Manisco for scarce. Ramesh goes for scarce. Amin for scarce. Nora's for scarce and meagre. Scarce for Paul Vuslat. Scarce is a YouTuber. I'm sure of it. Think Bass goes for scarce. A meagre amount of. Yeah, you need something with meagre. Yeah. I think a meagre food, if something's meagre, there's not very much of it. Yeah, it's very humble. So, Storksy goes for scarce. Louise says deficient or scarce. Abira for scarce. Kira for meagre. And Julia goes for scarce. And Lasky goes for deficient. Okay, I'm going to look at these. A deficient food. If a food is deficient, deficient luxury foods. If it's deficient, it doesn't have something, it's lacking something. So a vitamin deficiency is where you are deficient of a vitamin. The student's essay was deficient. It didn't have what it took. Okay. And deficient for flour and yelts. Okay, Rehab. Meagre. A meagre amount, a small amount. They paid him a meagre amount of money. They gave him very meagre food. Very plain and not enough of it. Yeah? There was a very meagre number of people at the meeting. Yeah? So not very many of. Meagre. Wow, 3 million. That's a hell of a lot. So it's not deficient food, it would be deficient in something. If it's meagre food, it's plain and there's not very much of it. It's supposed to kick off track to rare. Very good, Oksana. Puny breakfast is meagre. I love that phrase, Maria. That's a great one. Thank you for your help. Meagre, neutral in formality, maybe a little bit formal, but you could use meagre anywhere. Bare meaning naked. Meagre means the same as miserly. I like that. Yes, miserly's very good. They've skimped on it. Okay, shortage food. Well, no, there may be a shortage of these things, but shortage is a noun. Shortage luxury foods, a noun, adjective, noun construction. No, it's got to be scarce. And scarce is the answer. Yes, I like that miserly for meagre. Yeah? He only has a meagre amount of English. Meagre, scanty. That's a good one. I like it, Vitali. So here we go for another one. And any second now this will come up. The bare bones, the meagre bones of it. Yeah, I like that phrase, the bare bones. Not a full detailed explanation, but just a meagre explanation. Okay. Vast. Shrouds, spans, laps, covers, swathes of land in Ghana and Ivory Coast could become unsuitable for cocoa production if global temperature rises reach 2 degrees C, according to a 2013 survey. So we got swathes for Vitali, Valentine, Leferite and Oksana. Okay, I'm really good to hear that, PC Vanlaf. Okay, it's really good. So Abira goes for span, Gabriel goes for swathes, Maria Mickenham for swathes, Olena for swathes. Miserly, is it from Yiddish? I don't know. Miserlo. I think it comes from Latin, but I may be wrong. Swathes for vibes, Renyard Manji. Chidam goes for covers, Count for swathes, SH for swathes, Nora for swathes, Al-Shat for swathes, and Amin and Shakab. Yes, thank you, Flower. That's very good. Don't forget to hit the like button. Swathes for Roland, Manisco for covers. Think goes for swathes, a long strip of land. Ramesh goes for spans and Vladimir for swathes. So let's look at some of these. A synonym for swathes, areas. Strips. Thank you, left or right. So let's see. A shroud. Well, a shroud is a cover for a coffin or for a dead body, and definitely not. Vuslak goes for spans. I'm going to leave spans till later. A lap is a circuit round a track, and is definitely not right. Vast covers. Well, a cover goes over something. Kira goes for spans as well. So normally a span is between 2 points. Yeah? Whereas a swathe is two-dimensional. A swathe talks about an area, whereas a span normally talks about a distance. The time span between 2013 and 2022, a span, it's just a line. Yeah, a span is talking about a line, whereas a swathe is talking about an area. So, Suzette goes for span. Yes, thank you. Latin, I got it right. Thank you, Vitali. So, the answer is swathes. To swathe is to cover in bandages. Yeah, it was really cold out and I went outside swathed in clothes, covered completely. Shrouds have no pockets. That's very good from a couple of days ago, SH. Okay, so definitely not a shroud. And span aligned between 2 points, whereas a swathe is talking about an area, particularly a swathe of land, a strip of land. Yeah. The military took over another swathe of territory. That's good, an area of territory. Well done, Roland. So we're going to get another one now. A span is a line. Thank you, Maria Mikkonen. Okay, so cocoa used to be for kings and nobody else. Or cocoa. No, cocoa. Climate change is thumping, banging, belting, clouting, hitting production areas hard. It could become more luxurious again, says Zurek. So, Oksana goes for hitting, so does Vitali, and good evening Anna G goes for swathes, and that's the right answer, Anna G. Valentine, Buslat and count for hitting. So notice, all of these words mean to hit, yeah, in one way or another. Portions, yes, very definitely, Diego. Elena goes for hitting as well, and so does Abira, SH, Flower, Chidam, and Amin, and Gabriel, and Paul, Maria Mikkonen, and Manisco. So we've got a landslide for hitting. Okay, so hitting, very definitely. And for Roland as well. Hitting is the right one, Ramesh. Well done. Okay, to thump. He thumped on the door. Yeah? The big boy thumped the little boy. Thump. To me, this is like something you'll see in a comic, in a big thing to represent a noise. Thump is very informal. Definitely doesn't work. Huh. To hit hard, yes. Yeah, thump is to hit hard, hitting hard. Banging. Well, I guess, yeah, you bang on the door. And hitting for Lasky, Renyard, Anaji, Manji. Climate change is hitting for Lasky as well. Okay, to belt. Belt is very informal again. Hit hard, absolutely. It's a good collocation. I'm thinking thump, belt and clout by definition are all hard. To clout somebody, to hit somebody, or if somebody has a lot of clout, they have a lot of influence. So yes, very definitely. So I think thumping, belting and clouting all mean hit hard, and they're too informal. Banging hard, but banging, you bang on the door, but hitting means affecting badly. So we were hit by a storm. Yeah, and influences on climate, very definitely Lasky. Okay, so yeah, COVID has been hitting our society very hard. Yeah, we've been hard hit by this. Notice you can do it the other way around as well. Okay, so climate change could wash, erase, delete, wipe, polishing. Why have I got an ing there? Polish out half of the land used to grow coffee worldwide by 2050, according to a 2015 study. Another study suggests that areas suitable for growing coffee in Latin America could decrease by 88% by 2050 due to rising temperatures. So we got Wipeout for Vitalia, Byra, Leferite, SH. Count goes for Washout, Nora for Wipe Out, Manji for Wipeout, Suzette, Valentine, total Wipeout for Leferite as well. So wipe for Gabriel, Amin, Chidam, wipe for Ramesh, for Anna G, for Kira, for Vladimir, for Olena. Wow, this is a whitewash, isn't it? For Maria Mikkonen, for Renyard, for Vuslat. You all know this one. So, for Roland, Oksana, Louise, Anna G, Count Beauty, for Vives, for Massimo, for Paul, and for Flower as well. So that was a real landslide. Yeah, definitely to wipe out, to get rid of completely. Many animal species have been wiped out. Yeah, to wash out. Well, the party was a washout. It was very boring. It didn't happen. It didn't take place. Yeah. So a washout. No, definitely not. It wasn't successful. It was a washout. But to wipe out means to eradicate, to destroy all of, or nearly all of in this case. To erase. You erase a mistake with a rubber. Wipe out, destroy, absolutely, Vuslad. To delete. You delete something in the computer. You write the wrong word and then you delete it. Here, move to Canada by 2050. It's very possible, left or right. Dinosaurs are already wiped out. That's a good example, Louise. Okay. And also notice, erase out, no. Delete out, no. Polish out, no. To polish off, to blot, will blot out. I'm not very happy with blot out. Normally to blot out is when something is in the way and you can't see. Yeah. He drank alcohol to blot out the memory of the terrible thing that happened to him. Erase out is a tautology. I quite agree with you. I think that's a really good word, SH. So, high razor sharp. So, to blot out is to get in the way of. A cloud blotted out the sun. Yeah? The earthquake wiped out half of the population of the city. That's very good indeed. Okay, so, blot out. No, doesn't quite fit. And let's move to another one. A blot is like a stain. Yeah, I always used to get ink blots all over my hands at school. To obscure. Thank you, Maximo. I like that. That's a good synonym. To wipe out, to damage, to destroy, to kill totally. Okay, so we're going to have another one now. For thousands of years, spices were the paragon, epitome, prototype, avatar, byword of wealth and power. Decimate. What is blotting paper? So, left or right, in the old days when you used to write with a pen that used real ink, when you write with that, the ink very often doesn't dry, and if you move your hand over it you get a huge smudge or an ink blot. So you take the blotting paper and you put it on and it absorbs the ink and it stops you from making a mess. Wow, I love that. Blotting paper, that's something from the past. I know what blotting paper is, I've used it. So Vitali goes for byword, Louise to wipe off the face of the earth, Vladimir for epitome, Anna G for epitome, Julia SH, left or right, Nora, Renyard for epitome, Flower for avatar, Ramesh is thinking about epitome, Maria Mikkonen for epitome, and so too for Abira, Avatar for Chidam, epitome for Roland and Olena, and very good, Vitali, you've changed your mind. Yeah. Okay, a byword for wealth, maybe. Yeah. The epitome of, to epitomize the verb. If you're left-handed, you in those days you'd have blotting paper under your hand while you wrote. Yeah, that could be a real problem. Yeah, so a paragon for Kira, an epitome of wealth for Lasky, a prototype, says Paul. Okay, so let's see. An avatar is what you use when you play a video game. Yeah, it's like something that represents you. Yeah, it's like a visual character or a visual person that indicates you. It's something that represents you. Okay, so a paragon. A paragon is something that is perfect, or really, really good. A paragon of virtue. Yeah, a paragon is something that is really, really, really good. Particularly very virtuous as well. Paragon, really good quality. So, good evening, Shailesh. Good to have you here. Byword. So, the problem with byword is a byword for. And I would say spices were a byword for wealth. Yes, they used to give you a thumping for being left-handed. You used to get real problems for being left-handed because you're weird. You're just not like everyone else. Okay, so an epitome. Well, let's look at prototype first. A prototype is a basic starting example. Yeah. Avatar is a reincarnation. Thank you. Your sis got bullied by your teacher for being left-handed. When I was a kid, I was left-handed. But about age 8, they persuaded me to use the other one. I couldn't take any more of it. Byword not, because a byword's like a symbol, and also a byword for. So, I don't know, Greenpeace is a byword for ecological thinking. An avatar, an image, a prototype, a basic model, a paragon, a really perfect example, but the epitome of is the perfect example. So a paragon is good, yeah? He's a paragon. Whereas an epitome can be absolutely anything. Yeah, he's the paragon of evil himself. Yeah, he's so he's the epitome of evil, not the paragon of evil. Yeah. A prototype is an initial model, is the first model, is the proof of concept, the prototype. Yeah? Okay, so we'll come to the next one now. So those were good words. So sad. So, demand for aromatic spices. Aroused, tripped, stimulated, roused, sparked. The first global trade routes, established vast empires, and came to define the world economy. A byword is a phrase, normally a phrase that's a substitute for. Yeah? The best of the best, but normally an example, because notice it could be the worst of the worst as well, whereas a paragon is something very, very good. Okay, we're starting to get some answers now. So Vitaly goes for sparked, Vladimir goes for sparked, so does Count Beauty, Abira, Chidam goes for roused, Kira for sparked. What is in fact should be left as it is. I quite agree with you, Maria Mekkanen. Valentine goes for sparked, Anna G goes for sparked, SH goes for sparked, and Julia goes for stimulated, and stimulated for Manisco, Ruslat for sparked, Renyard for rouse, Shailesh for aromatic. That's the very first one. Louise, sparked or stimulated? Roland goes for sparked, Olena for sparked, aroused might be right, says Ramesh, Manji for stimulated. On second thought, stimulated might be a better choice. Okay, what normally goes with sparked? What's the preposition that normally goes with sparked? Oksana's going for stimulated. VG for sparked or roused. Jadwiga goes for tripped. Okay, we've got quite a good variety of words. Okay, Maria Mickenham for sparked. So, to arouse interest, to become sexually aroused, to arouse, to increase, to rouse, to wake up, yeah, to get excited, yeah. His temper was roused. Sparked is for something intangible. SH goes for sparked off, and so does Vitali. Fired. Ooh, I like fire. That's quite good. Okay, so the particle that goes with spark. Yeah, so Suzette Nugent goes for sparked as well. To spark, excited to do something. They often say spark interest. To spark interest, very definitely. Sparks were flying. Stimulated should be like galvanize in this case. We drink coffee to be stimulized. Fernos. You tend to arouse, to spark off. Okay, so to trip. You trip an alarm. Yeah, is to start it off. There was no spark on the date. That's very good. Roland says spark off as well. Okay, I'm going to accept both sparked and stimulated. The original actually said sparked, but I would prefer sparked off. Yeah, triggered. Whereas stimulated made them grow more faster, and I think they both fit, but they're slightly different. Sparked off made them begin. Stimulated, they existed and they got bigger. So I'm going to go for both of them. It sparked my interest in the subject as soon as he started to talk about it. That's a great example, Louise. Sparked with. Sparked by. No, I think normally sparked without anything, to spark something or to spark off something. Okay, so I'm going to take both stimulated and sparked off, or sparked. Okay, so we're going to move to another one now. I'm just going to wet my throat. The off is not necessary. It's not necessary, VG. To me, it just sounds better. Yeah? Yeah, it sparked the first trade routes. I prefer it with the off. It's not it's not obligatory, VG, but it sounds better. Yes, you did, Vitali. You had the cake and ate it. You got both of them. Yeah, it sparked off my interest in this field. It sparked my interest in this field. Today, spices are ubiquitous, rampant, infinite, far-reaching epidemic, and often the cheapest items on supermarket shelves. But they could lapse, reverse, restore, recover, revert to being luxury items, says Zurek. So, ubiquitous for Vitali, Oksana, Valentine, Sparks, the electrician. They call an electrician a Sparks. When the Sparks comes. Ubiquitous for Vibes, for Count Beauty. Ubiquitous and Revert for Vladimir. Valentine goes for Reverse. And Count for Reverse. Vuslat for Ubiquitous, and so with Gabriel, SH, Manji, Roland. Yes, it does exactly, Jamail. You're quite right, but maybe it did exist before the demand for these spices. Maybe they were trading other things. I don't know. And that's why I would accept it. I quite agree with you, Jamil. Okay, so ubiquitous for Kira. Reverse for Jwick 22. And Olena goes for ubiquitous, left or right for rampant. Infinite might be quite right. Okay, infinite. Yeah, spices are infinite. And Abira goes for ubiquitous and revert. Maria Mikkonen, ubiquitous and reverse. How would you zoom in on rampant? Okay. And Vitali goes for revert to. Lasky for ubiquitous. I've lost my place. Lasky for... Okay. Yes. Louise for ubiquitous and revert. Revert for Amin or Lena. Rampant. It is very common. Rampant is really aggressive. Crime is rampant. Yeah, a lion rampant standing on its back feet. Good evening, Anastasia. Goes for revert. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's great to have you, Sanyam. Renyard goes for ubiquitous. SH for revert. I'm sorry, this is what we get to do, Dwix. Jamil for infinite. Lasky for revert. Paul for ubiquitous and reverse. Oksana for revert. Roland for revert. Kira for ubiquitous and revert. Renyard for revert. Anna G goes for reverse. Vuslat revert to. That's quite good, Vuslat. Ubiquitous and adverse and revert for Lasky. Anna G goes for ubiquitous. Okay, yes, ubiquitous has a dime a dozen. Well, a dime a dozen means they're very cheap. Ubiquitous means everywhere. Infinite and revert for Jamil. I mean ubiquitous and revert. Ubiquitous, omnipresent. That's a good one, Vitali. Okay, rampant's normally used with negative things. Yeah, COVID has been rampant over the last couple of years. A rampant rabbit. No, not really, unless it's an evil rabbit. Yeah, ubiquitous, they seem to be everywhere. Good. Their love is infinite, without end. So, spices are infinite. They're not infinite, because clearly there is a limited amount. Something that's far-reaching. It has a lot of scope. It covers a lot of things. This law is very far-reaching. The meaning of this word is very far-reaching. Yeah, it has many distant effects. Epidemic is talking about a disease. Wow, thank you, somebody there. That's really generous of you. H-Bomb, thank you very much indeed. That's really kind of you to donate. Makes my day. So, whoops. I've just moved this. So, okay, their love is infinite. Suzette goes for ubiquitous. Arab for ubiquitous and restore. Anna G for revert. Flower for ubiquitous. No reverse. Could reverse too. Reverse is a direction. Reverse doesn't work. People in my country often say I don't have the gift of ubiquity. That's very good. I can't be everywhere at the same time. Suzette for revert. Restore may be right, says Ramesh. Anna G revert to. Will it be auspicious to use the word auspicious in Yelp speaking exam? Yes, it sounds a little bit formal, but it's a great word, Norman. So, flower goes for reverse. Thank you again, H-Bomb. Rampant only has negative connotations. Don't Google rampant rabbit. Don't think about pink elephants left or right. It would much easier... all over. Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah, of course it would, Diego. I quite agree. Far-reaching implications. They go a long way. So, very definitely. Ubiquitous. Okay, so ubiquitous is everywhere. Mobile phones are ubiquitous. Almost everybody has them. Yeah, cars seem to be ubiquitous wherever you go in on this planet. Far-reaching, thorough. So the right answer is ubiquitous, Lasky, for the first one. Rampant corruption, a rampant disease. So no. To lapse. If something lapses, it passes its sell-by date. It hasn't been renewed. Yeah? To lapse is, it becomes out of date. They could reverse. Poof, no. They could go in reverse. I put the car in reverse. They could restore. To restore means to make again as new. They could recover means to get better. To revert to go back to. They could go back to being luxury items. Okay, and Julia goes for recover. Being pregnant and poor simultaneously ensued unimaginable far-reaching effects on his family and children. Yeah, that's fine, Louise. The English is good. Yeah, COVID is an epidemic. Revert, come back to, return. Tidings of rampant COVID and joy. Tidings of rampant COVID and joy. Wow. Okay, so ubiquitous and rampant. Most of you got that. Yeah, reverse. To go in the opposite direction. Yeah, the car reversed. It went in reverse. The trend is reversing. A lapse in memory, a gap, yeah, a hole, yeah. Had effects on probably sounds better. Being pregnant and poor simultaneously. Had. I actually quite like what Vitaly said. Had unimaginable far-reaching effects. Had's a better word than ensued. I like it. Okay. Thank you, Vitaly, for pointing that out. So, spice crops are already bearing the onus, bump, crash, brunt of climate change. High rainfall and humidity provide fertile breeding grounds for pests like aphids and diseases like powdery mildew. An aphid's a little insect that sucks the juice out of your plant. So, Vitaly goes for owners, Valentine for brunt, Anna-G for brunt, Nora for brunt, Oksana for brunt, Vibes for brunt, Manji for brunt. If spices are grown, no, because infinite, they would have to be grown everywhere in the universe all at the same time. I understand what you're saying, but no. There is clearly a limit. Yeah, it's limited to the number of people that grow them. Yeah, infinite over time. It's a good attempt, Jamil, but no. So, Count for brunt, Abira for brunt, Olena for brunt, Arav for brunt, Maria Mikkonen for onus. That's a pleasure, Louise. Paras, good evening, thank you. SH goes for brunt, Lasky for brunt, Ramesh for brunt, Lasky for brunt. Getting ahead of myself, yes, look at it. Bear thee, look at this, bear thee. Wow, thank you, Kira, that's really, really kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, Renyard says onus, greenfly, aphid. Yeah, greenfly are one type of aphid. SH, I digress. SH has gone to onus. Good evening, Summit. Flower goes for brunt. Brunt is like attack, crisis, assault. Okay, onus for Paul. Bear the maximum fury of. Summit, bear the brunt. Thank you, Kira. I have a feeling you used to be Kira Borg. Probably about a year ago or something like that. So thank you very much again. Very generous of you indeed. Good evening, Apurva. Brunt for you. The onus is on you to keep the eye on the package. The onus talks about the responsibility. And they're not... it's humans that are not bearing the responsibility. The onus is on you to do this. The obligation, the onus. No, onus doesn't work. Yeah, in a court, the onus is on the prosecution to prove that the person is guilty, unless you're in France, where the onus is on the defendant to prove that he's innocent. Onus is on you to keep an eye on the package. Bear the onus refers to a responsibility, bear the brunt, a negative impact. That's very good. I like that, Oksana. Yes, bear the onus actually does work, but not in here. Humans bear the onus for climate change. Thank you, Indian Travel. She's crazy on him. The onus is on somebody to do something. Absolutely. Vitaly. Ronan, great to have you with us, RR. Good to see you, my friend. Bear the brunt of, yeah. To bear the brunt of, this is a very common thing. Bear the crash, bear the bump, no way, neither of them. And Jamil, crash or brunt. So it's bear the brunt, yeah? To bear the crash, well, I suppose it might work. It is a collocation, yeah. Bear the brunt. I think maybe politicians and prime ministers are bearing the brunt because they have the onus. The onus is on them to cure COVID. Yeah. That's very nice of you, Kira. I've got quite a long memory. Okay, thank you too. It's really kind of you. Okay, so to bear the brunt, very definitely. The next bit's about Kashmir. So I wonder who out there's from Kashmir who's watching. I'm sure there's more than one of you. Okay, so to bear the brunt of, yeah, to be the centre of the attack, the main target. Yeah, the car crashed, but the engine bore the brunt of the damage. In Kashmir, India's largest saffron growing region, dry conditions have pillaged, ransacked, vandalised, looted harvests of the lush purple crop. This is a good one. Bear the brunt of. Normally it's bear the brunt of. Wow, thank you, Leferai. The bees are still there. Yeah, we're working with them this morning. To bear the brunt of. It's normally to bear the brunt of, to be the centre of the attack of. So, Vitali goes for ravaged. Good evening, Mahmoud. Great to have you. She's cashing on him. So, Vuslak goes for ravaged. So does Abira. So does Vladimir. Apurva. Nora. Olena. Vibes. Yes, exactly, Suzette. To bear the brunt of, exactly. Ramesh is going for pillaged. Manji for ravaged. Count for ravaged. Maria Mikkonen for ravaged. Jamil for pillaged. Bear the brunt of. I can't think of another preposition. SH for ravaged. You're right. I think you're right, Vitali. Good evening. So, Flower Espoir for ravage and Oksana. So notice, to pillage, to ransack, to vandalise and to loot are all done by people. Yeah? These are all things of destruction. Yeah? Kira goes for ravaged as well. And Anna G for ravaged. Okay. To pillage, to go into a city and steal everything. The Vikings loved to pillage, burn and pillage. To ransack, the thieves ransacked the room. To pillage, to plunder. To vandalise means to destroy. Yeah, to break with no reason, the Vandals. Okay. Ravaged for Roland and ravaged for Alav as well. And to loot. So there was a riot, and the demonstrators smashed shop windows and then looted what was inside. Yeah? Yeah. No, next week, not tomorrow, next week. Okay? Next week, same time, Louise. So, the Vikings like to pillage, to plunder, to ransack, to throw everything in different places, from ransacker, is a Scandinavian root, to vandalise, to break for no good reason, to loot, to steal from, normally during a crisis, to ravage, to destroy. Yeah? To deface public property, absolutely a purva. To ravage. So, here's rummage, ransack. Okay, rummage is less violent than ransack. Yeah, but yes, Maria Mekkonen. The country was ravaged by COVID. Australia was ravaged by fire last year. So to destroy everywhere, yeah, to ravage, a big amount of destruction, yeah. The earthquake ravaged the area. The volcano has ravaged Fiji. To ransack a house for valuables, absolutely. I do secret live streams to Patreons as well. Those are on Tuesday morning and Tuesday evening. That's very good, left or right. Okay, so ravage, the lush, the well-growing, the wonderful, the thick purple crop. Okay, so I'm going to go for another one, and I'm going to ravage, to ruin. That's very good, Vitali, thank you. Yes, to ravage, to ruin, to destroy. Yeah, but not all of the others, people, they are the responsibility of people doing them. Vanilla production on Madagascar has been hit by extreme weather in recent years. A cyclone shattered, devastated, overwhelmed, distressed, raised 30% of the island's crop in 2017, sending prices to a record high of £434 per kilogram, briefly making the spice more expensive than silver. Well, I think it should be more valuable than the silver. Good evening, Joey. I get it. Hi, Joey in Chicago. To rummage is to look in place. So you've got lots of things in your bag and you rummage in your bag. Yeah, you've got a pile of things and you rummage through it. You move all the things out of the way. Pillaged and ravaged. To pillage means to destroy and steal everything you want. So the British Empire pillaged many countries. Yeah, to ravage, to wreak havoc. I love it. Okay, I rummaged in my bag to find the keys. Where is it? Yeah, ransack is more like throw things everywhere. So Lasky goes for ravaged. Okay, yeah, pillaged and ravaged. Vitali goes for raised. Okay, that's great. Prabhat. Okay, Vuslat goes for devastated. Vibes goes for devastated. Count for raised. Nora for devastated. Vladimir for devastated. It's a pleasure. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. Raised. Flower for devastated. Arav for devastated. I'm lost here. Arav for devastated. Manji, Anna, Vladimir. So Valentine for devastated. Apurva for raised. Olena for devastated. SH for devastated. Ramesh goes for devastated. So while I'm there, so what normally is raised? What normally is the the city was razed to the ground. That's quite good. Okay, so devastated for Ibera, Reynard, Manisco, Roland, shattered or razed for Louise, devastated for Maria Mikkonen. Thank you, lawyer. And devastated for Amin, Suzette ravaged. Yeah, that's definitely the right answer for the previous one. So devastated they cried. They were devastated. No problems, lawyer. Raised for Paul Asante. To pillage means to plunder or to loot. Absolutely. So, raised is good. Devastated too. I like what you're saying, Oksana. And good evening, lawyer. Would that you were able to pronounce his name. Yes, would that I were able to do so. Okay, shattered might work, Kira says. Devastated means to demolish. The city was razed to the ground. Maha goes for devastated. Good evening, Maha. Raise buildings, etc. to the ground. Raise is to level to the ground. Raise, slashed or cut. Demolished. The whole area was raised. I think it's talking about like a razor. To flatten, to make flat. Shanku Kumar. Thank you. Shanku Kumar. Thank you, Manji. You're a star. Let me write it here so that I don't forget it in the future. Shanku. Okay. Time may raise against man. No, that's rise. Thank you very much, Manji. The cyclone devastated the island's crop. Vuslat for devastated. Okay, having looked at these, I think both devastated and raised work. I think raised is the one that they actually is the original answer. To raise to the ground, as if to scrape with a razor. Great to have you, Maha. Yeah, so it was raised to the ground, but devastated is also perfectly acceptable. Yeah? Okay, distressed. No, I'm very distressed about this. Shattered is to break into little pieces. The glass shattered. The car had a shatterproof windscreen. Overwhelmed. I guess overwhelmed would work as well. It's not very good. I was overwhelmed with work. If you're overwhelmed, you have too much of something. Yeah, more than you can deal with. No. Don't change it to English, Shanku. Now I've got it. Now I know it's Shanku. That's fine. That's easy, Shanku. Leave it in English. Leave it in, I guess that is Hindi. I'm not sure. Yeah. So, okay, it's raised, but devastated would have worked as well. Yeah, let's see, Shanku. It's my obligation to learn how to call you, not your obligation to change your name. Okay. Thank you, Manji. Shattered, tired, exhausted. Okay, so let's try one more, and this will be the very last one for today. I'm distressed that Mum hasn't answered my calls. Very good, Apurna. The glass has shattered on the floor. Definitely Fernos. Overwhelmed. Worn out. Overwhelmed, completely covered in it. The taste of chili overwhelmed all of the other flavours in the dish. Was stronger than, cancelled out, hid, discovered. Not discovered, covered. So, last one. Manjira G. Yes, Manji definitely deserves the G. I quite agree. Manjira G, that's a good phrase. So, the danger of everyday products becoming luxury items is disheartening, says Monique Ratz, Director of the Food, Consumer Behaviour and Health Centre at the University of Surrey. Many foods could become out of range, out of scope, out of orbit, out of reach for a lot of people. So, this tragic event shatters my dream. That's good, Roland. Overwhelmed, inundated. I love it, Paul. That's a good one. Raised is right, but devastated is perfectly acceptable. So raised as well for Suzette. So this last one. Reach for Vitali, reach for Oksana, for SH, for Valentine, range for range for Valentine, out of reach for Vuslat, out of reach for Vibes, iswearenglish, Sanskrit, out of reach. Okay, for Abira, reach for Maria Mikkonen, reach for Count Beauty, reach for Arav and Prab, for Anna G, Apurva, out of reach for Renyard, for reach for Flower, reach for out of scope for Kira. Olena goes for reach, Vladimir goes for reach, Shanku goes for reach, Paul goes for reach, Orbit for Manisco, Maha says range, out of reach, unreachable says Flower, Jamil goes for reach, left right goes for scope, Lasky out of reach in my opinion. Ramesh, contact may be right, says Ramesh. Yeah. That's a pleasure. Thank you for coming, Vitali. It's always a pleasure to have you. You've been a very staunch supporter over a very long time. Lasky says out of reach, and so does Roland. So this last one is definitely out of reach. You can't reach it. It's more than you can afford. Out of range. If something's out of range, it's too far. You can't hit it. In my opinion. Yes, that's it, Maria Mikkonen. Out of scope. If something's out of scope, it's beyond the range. Yeah, the range that this covers. Out of orbits in outer space. And if somebody's out of contact, they don't get into contact with you. No, it's out of reach. You can't reach it. It's unreachable. Here, so enough for today, all of you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you for the donations from Kira, from Leferite, from H-Bomb as well. Yeah, so thank you all for coming. It's been wonderful to have you. Stay safe. I'll be back again same time next week. Unattainable, inaccessible, hard to come by. Those are good synonyms. Vibes. Fandos. The house was devastated during the earthquake. You need a was, Fandos. So thank you all for coming. You've been a wonderful group as always. Out of reach suggests something has moved away that once was close, and that's the point. These, Jamil, the price we can afford today, but we're not going to be able to afford it in the future. So thank you all very much. You're a wonderful group, and I will be back next week, inshallah. So I'm going to leave the chat on for a minute or two so that you can all you can chat amongst yourselves and take